In this video, I'll be creating Windows Setup Automation package that was requested by one of the channel viewers. I'm starting this video from my GitHub page, and that's because there are a few bits of information here that I will be using for this video. And I will leave the URL in the description down below. And here you can see the request that I got in Discord. First we have software installation, so I will need to automate the installation for Google Chrome, Adobe Reader, Zoom, Firefox, and Office 365. And for that I will be using Chocolatey. Also here in the request you can see that he wants to install software in out-of-the-box experience, but I talked to him and we decided to move the software installation outside of the UBI. And the reason for that is that in the out-of-the-box experience we can only perform automated actions for 30 minutes. After that, the provisioning process will time out and the provisioning will fail. And this can happen when installing many software packages or big packages like Microsoft Office using a slow internet connection. And that's the main reason why I always recommend performing software installation outside of out-of-the-box experience. And after software installation, I need to set Google Chrome as the default browser, Adobe Reader as the default PDF reader. Then we have few actions, and here we can see that he says that he wants minimal user interaction for skipping out-of-the-box experience, skipping privacy experience, and creating user BP local with a password. And here everything except setting the password for BP local user will be automatic, and for the password I will show you the solution later. And after this I need to remove Windows Store apps, prevent OneDrive, HomeDev and Outlook from installing, configure a Wi-Fi network, and then I need to perform Windows updates. After that we have a lot of configuration for the taskbar, and after that I also need to create control panel and this PC icons on the desktop, and also rename this PC icon to show computer name instead. And then for the computer name I need to rename it to BP-serial number, and also I need to join the computer to a domain to a specific organization unit. And the last step you can see here to configure a start menu layout that looks like this. And that's basically it for the request. And now I will go back to my main GitHub page and talk about the package that I will be creating. Here you can see all the actions that will be performed by the provisioning package. It will have two stages. Here you can see stage 1. All actions in stage 1 will be performed in the out-of-the-box experience. And then we have stage 2, and all actions in here will be performed in the BP local user's desktop. And in stage 1, the provisioning package will configure wireless settings, skip out-of-the-box experience, execute a PowerShell script called ubi setup ps1, and here you can see all actions that will be performed by this PowerShell script. First it will create a provisioning folder in C program data directory. After that it will move few files from the provisioning package to that directory. Then it will create BP local user account. After that it will rename the computer name to BP-serial number. It will perform offline Chocolatey installation. It will set Google Chrome as the default browser and Adobe Reader as the default PDF reader. And then it will remove Windows Store apps, deploy start menu layout, create a registry file called desktop-users-registry, and this registry file will contain the taskbar configuration and also enables the desktop icons for this PC and also the control panel. After that it will prevent HomeDev and Outlook New from installing, then it will disable widgets, skip privacy experience, then goes the preparation for the stage 2. So it will configure active setup to import the registry file that we created here. So it will import desktop users registry, then it will prevent OneDrive from installing, and also it will configure run once to execute another PowerShell script called desktop update provisioning. And like I said before, the part right here is for preparing for the second stage. And the difference between active setup and run once is that everything that we have in run once will be executed with administrative privileges, and it will be executed once for a single account. And that account also needs to be a member of the administrators group. And everything that we have in active setup will be executed once for each user on the computer during the first sign-in. The main idea here is that using run once we want to do system-wide changes, and using active setup we only want to do user-wide changes. Anyways, in the stage 2 the desktop user registry file will be imported for each user, and this will move the taskbar icons to the left, remove chat, copilot and task view icons from the taskbar. It will enable this PC and control panel icons on the desktop, and also it will rename the desktop icon for this PC to the computer name. And also in the stage 2, the PowerShell script desktop update provisioning script will be executed, and this script will wait for internet connection. Then it will install a PowerShell module called PS Windows Update. And then using this module, the script will check for Windows updates, install the updates, and restart the computer. And it will repeat this process until there is no more updates to install. And after performing Windows updates, the script will use Chocolatey to install Zoom, Firefox, Office 365, Google Chrome, and Adobe Reader. And then the last step for the script will be to execute this PowerShell GUI that will allow us to join the computer to domain and also to set a password for our local admin account. And the main reason why I'm using this GUI is because it's not recommended to store passwords in the package or in PowerShell scripts. And that's basically it for all the actions that will be in the provisioning package. Now, before creating the package, I need to prepare a few files, and the first file that I will be preparing is the start menu layout. And for that, I will go to my VMware workstation where I have this Windows 11 virtual machine. And before we can start creating the layout that we want, first we need to install software packages that we want to include in our start menu. And because this virtual machine has Chocolatey installed, I will just go to my GitHub page, and here I have a Chocolatey command that will install Google Chrome, Adobe Reader, and also Microsoft Office. And the reason for that is that in the request, as you can see here, we need to include in our start layout the Office applications and also Adobe Reader and Google Chrome. So I'll go back here, I will click on the button right here to copy this command, go back to my virtual machine, and let's open a command line and run it as administrator. Then let's click yes here, let's insert the command, press enter, and now we need to wait for the software to install. And now that we have all the applications that we need for our start menu, we need to perform additional action, and this action is required only if you're using Microsoft Office applications in your environment and you want to exclude the applications or include them in the start menu layout. And the thing is that if I open my start menu, you can see that I don't have Microsoft Office applications in here, but they are in here, we only cannot see them on the user that installed Microsoft Office. So to create the start menu layout correctly, we need to create another user account, sign into that user, and then create the layout on that user account. So to do that, I will go back to the command line. I will use the commands net user. I will create user temp, and then let's add, press enter. As you can see, the user temp was successfully created. And once again, let's look at the start menu. As you can see, we don't have any Microsoft Office applications in here. Now, if I log off this user account and sign into the temp user, let's wait for the profile to be created. And as you can see on this user, we have a lot more applications in our start menu, because they always existed, but we are not able to see them until we install the software and sign into a new user account. And now we can start creating the start menu layout that we want. And one last thing to know is that when unpinning the applications, make sure to select unpin from start and don't use uninstall, because uninstalling will still leave the pin active in the start menu. And if we deploy that start menu to other user accounts, and if they have the software installed, they will be able to see the pin software. So once again, make sure to select unpin from start. So let's unpin this, let's unpin that. And now that we have the layout that we want, we need to grab the start menu layout from this user account. And for that, I will open File Explorer. Then I will go back to my GitHub page, because here I have the location where the layout file is stored. So I'll click on the button right here to copy this line, go back to the virtual machine and insert it here. And in here, we only care about the start2.bin file. I will right click on it, copy the file, and then I will go to my downloads folder and insert the file in here. And the main reason for that is because I will be using my downloads folder as a staging area for all the files that I need for the package. And now we need few more files. One of them is Chocolatey installation file and also a few PowerShell scripts. And I will start with the Chocolatey installation file. And for that, I will once again go to my GitHub page. To download Chocolatey, I will use the link that I have here that brings me to the Chocolatey GitHub page. Here I will click on the release. Then I will scroll down a bit and here I will be downloading this MSI file. So I'll click on it and the download should start. And then we need a few PowerShell scripts from my GitHub page. So let's go here. And here we have two PowerShell scripts. So we have ubi setup and also desktop update provisioning. And the first script that I will be downloading is ubi setup. So I'll open it. And this is the main script that will be executed in the provisioning package. I will try to quickly go over all the steps in this script. So here you can see how it will create the local user account. Here it will create provisioning folder in C program data directory. Then it will move few files from the provisioning package to the provisioning folder that it created. After that, it will set the computer name to BP-serial number. Then it will perform offline Chocolatey installation. Here it will set the Google Chrome to default browser and Adobe Reader as the default PDF reader. Then in here it will remove the Windows Store apps. And I want to talk about this snippet a bit because this is a very aggressive approach that I don't like to use in most cases. And it's aggressive because in here we're creating a list of applications that we want to keep, and every other store application and package will be removed from the computer. And it's aggressive also because sometimes we think that we don't need this package or application. We remove it, then after a while we notice that other application that we are using or other Windows feature that we are using stops working because it requires the package that we removed. And that's why in most cases I'm using a different type of approach where I'm creating a list of applications that I want to remove. And I add applications in that list that I'm 100% sure that I can remove and that it will not cause any issues in the future for me. Anyways, after removing Windows Store apps, the script will prevent Outlook New and Home Dev from installing. Then in here it is deploying the start menu layout. Then it is creating the registry file that contains taskbar settings and enabling the desktop icons for the user. And here we also have few registry settings. The first registry setting is for configuring active setup to prevent OneDrive from installing. Then we're skipping the privacy experience, disabling widgets. Then once again we're configuring active setup, this time to import the registry file that we created here for each user on the computer. And the last registry setting is for configuring run once to execute the other PowerShell script called desktop provisioning that is responsible for installing Windows updates and software installation using Chocolatey. So basically that's it for this script. I will click on the button right here to download it. Then let's close this window and let's open the other PowerShell script. And this script, first it will wait for network connection because almost all actions in this script requires an internet connection. After the internet connection is detected, it will install everything that is needed for the PowerShell module PS Windows Update, and then it will install the module itself. After that, it will be using this module to install all Windows updates, restart the computer, and repeat this process until there is no more updates to install. And after installing all the updates, it will go to this part right here. And here it will use Chocolatey to install the Chocolatey packages that you see here. So it will install Google Chrome, Adobe Reader, Zoom, Firefox, and Microsoft Office 365. After installing all the software packages, it will execute this snippet right here, and this is to execute the user interface that you see here. And this is a bit complicated and a bit out of scope of this video, so I will not go into it. So anyways, let's click on the button right here to download this file. And then I guess we can go to the downloads folder. So here we have all the files that we need for the package, start menu layout, Chocolatey installation file, then ubi setup ps1 script, and also desktop update provisioning ps1 script. And that means that I can start creating my provisioning package, and for that I will go to my Windows configuration designer. Then I will click file and new project. I will name the project package. Then I will click next. Here I will select all Windows desktop editions, click next, and then finish. First I will be skipping out of the box experience, so let's go to the runtime settings. Then let's click on ubi, and here for hide ubi I will select value true. And now I will be configuring wireless network connection, and for that I need to go to connectivity profiles, VLAN, and then VLAN settings. Here we need to provide SSID of the network that we want to connect. In my case, I have a wireless connection with SSID. Let's do automation. Then let's click add. Let's click on the wireless connection in here. Here we need to select security type. So I'll select mine is VPA2 personal. Then we need to provide security key. So this is my super secret security key. Basically, this is the wireless password. And then for auto connect, we also want to select in most cases true. And that's all we need to automatically connect to a wireless network. And in this video, even though I'm configuring everything in here, I will not be using the wireless network for computer provisioning, because in this video I need to connect the computer that I will be provisioning to a domain, and my wireless network doesn't have a connection to my domain controller. So I will be demonstrating that all the settings are working just fine, but I will not be using wireless network for the computer provisioning. And now that I started talking about joining the computer to the domain, I forgot to mention one part of the PowerShell snippet that I have in here. Let's go back to the desktop update provisioning, and let's go to the domain join part. So this is the part that is responsible to joining the computer to the domain. And as you can see here, I have few hard-coded values. So I have my domain name and the organization unit where I want to put my device when it will be joined to the domain. So if you're trying to adapt this script for your package, you need to make sure to change the values in here. Anyways, let's go back to the configuration designer and let's continue creating the package. And the last thing that we need to do in here is configure the PowerShell script execution and also package the files that we have in the downloads folder inside of the provisioning package. And for that, I will go to provisioning commands, device context, and then command files. Here I will click browse and then go to my downloads folder. And I will just select all the files that I have in here. So the Chocolatey installation file, the two PowerShell scripts, and also the start menu layout file. Then I will click open, and then I will click add. And after clicking add, you can see that the files appeared in the list here. Now, the last thing that we need to do is to configure execution of this ubi-setup ps1 script. And for that, let's click on the command line, and then let's go back to the GitHub page, because here I have the line that we need to use. So basically we are executing PowerShell, configuring execution policy to bypass, and then providing the file that we want to execute. So ubi-setup ps1. So to copy this line, I will click on the button right here and go back to the package, insert the value in here. And that's basically it. Now we can export our package. So let's click on export, provisioning package. Here, let's click next. Then, because we're using our wireless settings and also wireless password in our provisioning package, it would be recommended to encrypt the package. But to make this video a bit more simple, I will skip this step. Then I will click next, and then build. Now let's click on the output location. And in here, we only care about this file right here called package.ppkg. I will right click on it, select copy, then I will go to my USB drive that I have here, and I will insert the file in here. And that's it. Now the last thing that I need is to test this provisioning package. And to test it, the only thing that we need to do is to plug this USB drive to a Windows computer that is in the out-of-the-box experience. Well, in this case, I will be using a virtual machine that I have here. So to start the provisioning process, the only thing that I need to do is to plug this USB drive from my host computer to this virtual machine. So for that I will go to VM, removable devices, and then connect the USB drive. And as you can see, without any other user interaction, the provisioning process started for me. Also, in this virtual machine, I have a wireless network adapter connected so that we can test if the wireless settings are working correctly. Anyways, now let's wait for the provisioning process to finish. And as you can see here, the provisioning process started downloading Windows updates. After installing them, it should restart the computer and then check for updates once again. And as you can see, after installing the Windows updates, it restarted the computer. Once the computer is restarted, it should check for updates once again, and if there are no updates, it should start the software installation. And now, because there was no updates to install, the provisioning process started the software installation. So now we need to wait a bit more for the provisioning process to finish. And as you can see, the provisioning process is over. Now I'll be using this small user interface to change the current user password and then join the computer to the domain. So first I will be changing the password. Let's enter here and then confirm. Click on change password. As you can see, we get this message saying password was changed. And now let's join the computer to the domain. So let's enter my domain admin user. You don't really, in most environments, have to use a domain admin. You can just use a regular user. But in my case, I will just use my admin user. Then I will check the restart computer checkbox, and then let's click on join domain. And as you can see, the computer restarted. Now we need to wait a bit once again. And as you can see, after restarting the computer this time, the auto sign-in does not work, and that's because now our local user has a password and it should be joined to a domain, as you can see here. So let's use a domain account to sign in. And it seems to be working just fine. Now let's wait for this user's profile to be created. And as you can see, the sign-in was successful, so now we know that setting the password for the local user and also joining the computer to the domain works just fine. And now I will check if the provisioning package successfully performed all other actions in the request. So I'll go back to my GitHub page and open the request that I have in here. First was software installation, so Google Chrome, Adobe Reader, Zoom, Firefox, and Office applications. So here we can see Office applications, Adobe Reader, Google Chrome, Firefox, and Zoom. So everything in here seems to be fine. And the next thing in the list is to check if we have Google Chrome as the default browser and Adobe Reader as the default PDF reader. So let's go to the default applications. If I click on Adobe Reader, here we can see that it has all the necessary defaults. Then same goes for Google Chrome. Now, next step is to check, well, we don't need to check, we know that skipping out of the box experience was successful. Same goes for the Privix experience. And the same is with creating BP local user with the password. The password part was with the user interaction. And then now we need to check if the bloatware was removed successfully. So for the most part, if I go to the apps and installed apps, here we have not that many applications. Most of the applications that we see in here are the applications that we installed or the ones that we left in the ubi setup script, the ones that we have in the list here. So Paint, Photos, Calculator, Notepad, and Terminal. So as you can see, most of the applications that we have in that list are in here. So it seems that this part was also successful, and also because we don't have Home Dev and Outlook new, that means that this part was also successful. Well, Home Dev is in the list here, but as you can see in this list, we only have Microsoft Defender in here. And the next action that I need to check is the wireless configuration. So for that, let's click here. As you can see, it didn't connect automatically, and that's because I had Ethernet connection available. And when you have Ethernet connection, the wireless does not connect automatically. At least that's how my network adapter works. But we can still see if the configuration was successful because my wireless network has a password, and if the configuration was successful, it should connect without asking for the password. So let's click here and let's click on connect and then wait a bit. And as you can see, the connection was successful. Now the next step is to check all the taskbar items. It needs to be in the left side, no chat, no copilot, disable widgets, hide task view, and it seems that everything is correct in here. So we only have search in it. All the parts in here worked just fine. Next, we need control panel on the desktop, and same goes for this PC, but it should be named with the computer name. So let's go back in here. Here we can see control panel, and here for this PC we have this icon, but the name is the computer name for this computer. And the next action is to set the computer name to BP-serial number. We can see from this icon that it worked just as well. And the last action, well, two last actions. The last action is to configure the start menu. Here we can see that we have the same start menu as in the GitHub page. And the last action was to join the computer to the domain, to a specific organization unit. And as you can see here in my domain, if I go to tools and then users and computers, here in the computers organization unit, we have the computer, and we provided that organization unit in the desktop provisioning script in this part right here. So this snippet also seems to be working just fine. And that's basically all the actions that we needed to check. And that's it for this video. Like and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, and see you in the next one.